I have a caution for Panthers fans. Major caution for Panthers fans. Don't let the fact that I saw this floating around online yesterday. Hey, Panthers took the Eagles to the brink. Panthers took the Chiefs to the brink in the regular season. Hey, Panthers were close against both those teams. Don't let that fool you into thinking that the Panthers are just right there on the edge. That the Panthers are just right there on the edge. Because they're not. Don't let that fool you, folks. Because I look at the Carolina Panthers, again, they lost at 3 points. Graham, I know you were at the game as well. We're at home against the Kansas City Chiefs. Lost by 3, last-second field goal. Chiefs had the ball with 2 minutes left. They just drove right down the field, used up the rest of the clock. Easy field goal, walk-off. Against the Philadelphia Eagles, you had a late drive where Xavier Legette has a pass go through his hands, which would have put you potentially in the lead. They lost that game by 6, 22-16. That touchdown would have tied the game. Who knows what happens with an extra point? There's also still time left on the clock, so you never know what Philadelphia is going to go do. Quick drive, field goal, Jake Elliott, walk-off, done. You don't know how that's going to happen. But I will caution Panthers fans by saying this. The Atlanta Falcons also took Kansas City close, only lost by 5 in that game, so a one-possession game. The Atlanta Falcons beat the Eagles earlier this season, another team in your division. You know who else was very close against the Kansas City Chiefs this year? Only lost in a one-possession game. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They lost that game by 6, 30-24. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers earlier this season beat the Eagles 33-16. More than doubled them up. Those teams have plenty of flaws. I understand you beat the Eagles. I'm sorry, you beat the Falcons once this season. They also beat you as well. And you lost twice against Tampa. Hey, I know one of that game went to overtime. The one at home did. But do not think just because you took both of the teams that were in the Super Bowl and you played them close that you're there. You have to look at for example, the first win for the Panthers this last year, they beat the Raiders 36-22, blew them out, and Andy Dalton starting. You know who also played the Chiefs close right after you? The Raiders. Lost to them by 2, 19-17. Also played the Chiefs close. Don't let it fool you, folks. That's my caution. And I also hope it doesn't fool the front office either. It shouldn't. It shouldn't. Because even if you look back and say, well, hey, we lost by 3 to the Chiefs. Let's say they actually pull out a win there. Okay, there's one. Hey, we almost beat the Buccaneers at home close. Okay, well, that's another win. Hey, we almost got a win against the Eagles. Okay, there's another. That's 3 straight games that you lost super close. Then you lost to the Cowboys, got blown out by them. So even if you flip those 3 wins or those 3 losses into wins, you're still only 8-9. You're at best a 500 team. The Panthers did not beat a team this season as strong as they finished the year. They did not beat a team with a record above 500. Now, I know the Cardinals and the Falcons, the reason they both finished 8-9 is because you beat them, so they finished 8-9. I'll say 8-9 is a 500 team. You didn't beat a team above 500. The best wins that you had this year in terms of other opponents' record, an 8-9 Cardinals team and an 8-9 Falcons team. You beat the Saints. They stink. You beat the Giants. They stink. You beat the Raiders. They stink. Do not be fooled by the fact that you played close in a league that's built for, quote, any given Sunday, anyone can do anything, that you're that close, because you're not. You're not. I hope Panthers fans don't look at yesterday and say, well, gosh, the Eagles blew out the Chiefs. We almost beat the Chiefs, and we almost beat the Eagles. We're right there. You're not. That's my big caution to Panthers fans. You're not. Doesn't mean you eventually can't be. Not saying that you're not incapable of being there eventually, but you're not as close as you think you might be. You don't have the roster to compete with the Philadelphia Eagles. You just don't. Yeah, you played them close to that game. Doesn't mean overall you really have the roster to compete with them. You don't. The team has so many holes, so many flaws. Again, I saw this floating around yesterday from people in the media and fans. Man, Panthers play both these teams tight. Who else could say that? Well, actually, I just gave you two of them, and they're within your division. And they finished ahead of you within your division. Tampa, Atlanta, beat the Eagles. And they played the Chiefs close. You almost, keyword, almost won, but you didn't. I caution that to Panthers fans. I also caution Panthers fans on this too. Deebo Samuel, wide receiver for the San Francisco 49ers, was given permission to seek a trade. Given permission to seek a trade to another team. I also caution Panthers fans and also the Panthers about this. What cost? What does it cost to take a guy like Deebo Samuel? I love the thought of him. I really do. But again, what is the cost to go ahead and bring in a player like Deebo Samuel? If you look at Deebo Samuel, his contract, he has a salary cap hit in 2025 of $15 million. But then they have a bunch of, he's 29 years old. He's in the last year of his contract. Going to be 29 this coming season. Last year of his contract, $15.8 million cap hit. And then to spread the cap hit out, the salary cap hit, the 49ers, way they structured his contract, there's a bunch of these what they call void years. Basically, they're dummy years tacked on the contract where the player can go sign with other teams, but allows you to spread a salary cap hit out over several years, even after the player is no longer with your team. So in 2026, it's a $13.7 million cap hit. In 2027, $8.9 million cap hit. 2028, $7 million cap hit. 2029, $3 million cap hit. Like, you want to take all that on, too, for a player that's 29 turning 30? That you might only get him for 1 year? Where are you spending your money? On a 29-year-old receiver? Again, I like the player a lot, but you don't have the luxury and the ability to make these kinds of plays for a player like that because of the money. If I'm a team that's in win now mode, sure, I make that move. Panthers aren't in that situation. Again, I love the thought of having Deebo Samuel on the team. I love the thought of wide receiver T. Higgins from the Cincinnati Bengals on the team. But if you devote money or too much money into your offense and not enough into your defense, guess what? You're going to be losing a lot of games in shootouts, just like you did this past year, where you lost a lot of games. Hey, the offense put up 26, 27. Still lost. Heck, look at the Cincinnati Bengals this year. Joe Burrow had like a career year in terms of stats. You had Jamar Chase, who led the league in both receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns. Oh, and that T. Higgins guy that a lot of Panthers fans are clamoring for, you had him too. That team won 5 straight games just to barely miss out on the playoffs. It was a shootout every single week because they had no defense, even though they had Trey Hendrickson, who led the NFL in sacks this year. And their defense still couldn't stop anybody. You want to be that? Because what'd that get you this year? Leave for Cincinnati. Nothing, because they had no defense. You got to have a defense if you want to win. So again, I caution Panthers fans about wanting to pursue high-priced talent on the offensive side of the ball. You have to put together a defense of some kind if you want to be competitive.